Hey, fifth grade. I am back again today to help you with day 2 on your packet from week 3, fifth grade. So yesterday we wrote down our definitions for the new vocabulary words. You should have written example sentences and pictures. You should have also answered the questions for number 1 on the first page of our story and got a chance to watch the video Wildfires 101 so that it can help you visualize some things in our story today and think about what they'd look like. So today we're going to review vocabulary words together. Hopefully you did number 1 today. On page 30 there are a couple of vocabulary words for you to write about yourself. They have pictures, examples, and you complete the sentences on your own. We are going to quickly review the definitions of these words. Remember, you can always use your vocabulary chart to help you if you come to a word you don't know. That's why we do that, to help you learn new words. So I'm going to put them up on our board because we might hear or see some of these today in our story, and they help us to understand and comprehend what we're reading. Okay? The first vocabulary word is suppress, and that means to stop something. The next word is flourish, and flourish means to grow well. Encourages means to give confidence and urge on. Occur means to happen. Extinguished means you put it out. And consume, it means to use up or destroy. So we looked at these words pretty closely yesterday. So they should be on your vocabulary chart. This was a quick review so we can hear these words again today and listen for them in our story. All right, our story begins on page 32 in your book. Okay, it is called Forests on Fire. And hopefully the video, Wildfires 101, I gave you an idea about what those look like and some good things about fires and some bad things about forest fires. This story, if you look at the top, it says expository text. And expository texts are nonfiction. That means they are real. And the author wrote this because they wanted to teach us something new. That is the purpose of expository texts. Another word for expository text is informational text. And that's exactly what it says. It says it's a nonfiction text that teaches the reader facts about a topic. Our topic today is forest fires. So we're going to learn some facts. You might have always thought all fires were bad. And as we read today, you will find out that there are some bad effects from fires. But I was kind of shocked to realize there are some good things about fires as well. So maybe you saw a little bit of that in the video. You can use that to help you understand today's story. All right, so as we read Forests on Fire, I would like for you to think about how do these changes in the environment affect the living things? So it's not just trees in a forest. Forests are home to many animals and many other plants and insects. And so when their homes are destroyed, it really affects them. So we have to think, what are some changes that they have to make because their homes are on fire? And we're going to read about how the plants, the animals, and even people can be affected by forest fires. All right, so let's get started learning some new things. Here, we'll start right up here. You can follow along in your book. A few years ago, red squirrels were rescued from a wildfire that had already destroyed thousands of acres of land. The fire had to be extinguished before the squirrels could return to the wild. Forest fires are part of nature, so it is important to understand why they happen. So right there we have one of our vocabulary words, extinguish. That means the fires had to be put out before the squirrels could go back to the forest. Of course, they don't want to go back while it's still burning, right? That wouldn't be safe. Fire destroys and produce. Like rainstorms, wildfires are a force of nature. However, unlike rainstorms, wildfires almost always destroy things. They consume everything in their way, including plants, trees, and animals. Sometimes they take human lives and destroy homes. Wow. So when it says they consume everything in their way, fire kind of takes over and destroys everything. So it doesn't matter if it's a home for animals in a tree or if it is your own house or a school or a store. If anything is close to a forest, when it catches on fire, everything around it is in danger of also catching on fire. However, naturally occurring wildfires produce necessary changes in the environment. Like rain, wildfires allow new life to grow. So we all know that rain is normally a good thing because it helps plants to grow, and we need that because we eat plants and other animals eat plants. So we need fruits and vegetables to keep our bodies healthy, and if it doesn't rain, then those things can't grow. But we also know if it rains too much, like in this picture, and causes a flood, then that's not good either. So rain can bring a lot of good things, but it can also have some bad times with it. And that's what they're saying about forest fires. A lot of times they might destroy a lot of things along the way as they consume it, but there's also some good things that can happen. So let's read and hear some more. The good effects of wildfires. Humans do not cause a naturally occurring wildfire. 3 factors must be present for a wildfire to burn. They are fuel, such as dry grasses, oxygen in the atmosphere, and heat to burn the fuel. A lightning strike usually sparks a naturally occurring wildfire. Wildfires help to regenerate Earth. When plant matter decays, wildfires clear it away so new plant life can grow. So it's not good if humans cause the fire, but sometimes if there's a storm and lightning strikes a tree, there might be a lot of dead plants already in the forest, and it kind of helps to clear those away so that new trees and new plants can grow. But they're still dangerous at the time when they're burning because it's still, the animals still have to get away from there. And if your home is close to a forest, it's still dangerous. So it said we need 3 things for a wildfire. Fuel, such as dry grass, so that means things that will burn easily are fuel. Oxygen in the atmosphere, so you gotta have air all around, and heat to burn the fuel. So, for example, I have a candle in my house. It's in a jar, and I can light it with a lighter, but if I put the lid on top, the flame goes out because it's not getting any air, it's not getting any oxygen. But of course the forest fire is outside, and so there's lots of oxygen and air, and that keeps the fire burning. So it makes it much harder to put out a big forest fire than a little candle. Let's go on to the next page. Fire also releases nutrients back into the soil. This makes soil more fertile. And fire burns the top leaves of trees, allowing sunlight to reach the forest floor. Often, the new plant life will have better adaptations to fire than the previous plant. Some species will have fire-resistant roots, leaves, or bark. Others will depend on fire to reproduce. So not only do forest fires do good things such as get rid of the old plants that are dead, but a lot of times they kind of help to clear the top of the forest. So if it's very shady and there's not a lot of sunlight, it can kind of burn away some of the trees so the sun can get down to the bottom of the forest, and that sunlight will help new plants to grow. And the new plants are even better than the old ones. It's said that their leaves and their bark and their roots will be stronger. So if a forest fire happens because of nature, there can be a lot of benefits or a lot of pros or good things that happen because of it. The next part is stability and diversity. Stability is among fire's benefits. A benefit means something that is good. It is a pro, something that you like. Fire destroys invasive species. Then the region's own plants can grow, and invasive species does not take over the area. So invasive means, that blue word means it's wanting to control the area. So if something is invasive, that means it didn't naturally come there on its own. It means someone maybe either planted it, or sometimes animals can be invasive. If you bring an animal from one place to another and it isn't supposed to live there, it can kind of harm other things around it. That's why if you, a lot of you, if you've traveled from another country, when you are on the plane, you have to sign a paper that says you're not going to bring anything invasive into the next country. So you're not going to bring an insect or an animal or a plant that could destroy the wildlife that's already in that country that you're going to. So they're saying that sometimes if that happens, if there's a plant that's kind of taking over and just growing everywhere out of control, a fire can help to destroy that plant and let the good plants grow back. At the same time, fire encourages diversity. For example, a recently burned forest will have new seedlings. That means if it burns all the big trees, then some new little trees are going to start to grow. Not far away, in an area struck by the fire 20 years earlier, small trees grow. Nearby, in an area with no fires for years, there will be mature trees. This variety in plant life provides food and habitats for different kinds of insects, birds, and mammals. Forests at different stages attract a diversity of animals to the region. So some animals really need big, tall, thick trees to live in for their homes. But others need smaller trees and bushes and new grass. So some animals and insects need that kind of home. So diversity means there's lots of different species or lots of different types living there. So if you have forests with big trees and some with small trees that are just growing back because of a fire, then it's kind of a good thing, because then they have lots of places that they can live, and they can live in the place that best meets their needs. Okay, on the next page it says the effects of humans. In the past, our government misunderstood fires and tried to fight them completely. This policy had a negative impact on the environment. As decayed plant matter built up, it provided more fuel for fires. So consequently, wildfires became fiercer. That means anytime there was even a tiny little fire, they tried to extinguish it and put it out completely. They didn't give it time to burn. So that meant that a lot of the old plants that had kind of died, that's the decayed matter, just more and more and more would grow each time. So when there was a fire, it would be lots of flames, there was lots of fuel, and it would destroy even more. So they realized maybe having a little fire every now and then is better than letting all of that build up. Now the government manages wildfires with two strategies. One way is to limit fires before they burn out of control, and the other is to set small fires to reduce the amount of fuel in the area. So sometimes the people who study fire and they study forests and they study what is good for the forest, they know that sometimes they need to set a little fire and burn just a little bit, and they can control it and put it out. That way, it doesn't, the old plants don't just get built up, and then if lightning strikes, the whole thing goes up in flames. So it's safer if they can control it by making small fires and putting them out. That keeps the old plants down, so if there were to be a natural fire, it wouldn't be as big of a disaster. Unfortunately, fires caused by human carelessness are a problem. These are the humans that are not forest rangers. They don't study fires and forests. They maybe accidentally start fires, and this is where it gets bad. Wildfires can have benefits. That means there are some good things to wildfires. But fires from human mistakes do not. Fires cannot control themselves, so humans must figure out how best to handle them. So you might have seen in the video, I think it gave some examples of times that humans make mistakes. For example, if you are camping and you have a campfire and you don't put it out all the way, it can cause the forest to catch on fire. Some people that smoke cigarettes throw it out of their car and it goes into the woods and catches it on fire. So there's lots of ways that humans, even though they're accidents, those are mistakes, and those are not controlled fires, because then the park rangers, they don't know that's happening, and all of a sudden lots of very important trees and plants and animals can be harmed very quickly. So I wanted to show you a few things in this because it is a nonfiction story. These are some clues that it is informational. They will have real pictures. So when it's a nonfiction text, nobody's drawing pictures or painting them. They're taking them with a real camera, and these are called photographs. So a photographer took these pictures, and usually there is a caption under the picture, and those are just words or sentences that help you to learn more about the picture. And it's just called a text feature. It means it tells you a little bit more. It helps you understand the words in the story. This has an open cone, a new seedling, and a young forest. So you can look in your book at those pictures. The caption says, "The black spruce tree needs heat to open its cones and scatter seeds. Later, a new forest will grow." So when this cone opens up, the seeds scatter. They start new little trees. That's what a seedling is. And then this young forest, you can tell, even though the taller trees have burned, there's lots of new little trees growing. And so that's a good sign. On this page, this is another clue that this is nonfiction and that it's expository, because they will also often have a chart or a graph with information for you. This one says June U.S. wildfire activity from 2007 to 2011. So the red lines are the number of fires, and the green is the acres burned. So you can see that the number of fires kind of went down over the years, but the acres burned are going up. So that means even though there's not as many fires, the fires that we are having are very destructive. They're able to burn a lot. It says firefighters work to contain small and large forest fires. All Right, so that's the end of our story today. I would like for you to just think about how wildfires change the environment. How does that affect the plants and animals that live there? And why do you think it's so careful for you to be around fires? Those are just some questions I'd like to leave you with today for you to think about on your own. Some of the groups later this week when you're writing, you have a page that says pros and cons. Pros mean the good things, cons mean the bad things. So some of you will be writing the pros about forest fires and the cons. You'll be making a list. Not everyone has this page. Some of you have more vocabulary work to do, or some of you have another book and a comprehension quiz to write on. Whatever page you have, that's okay. You can just do that work. So remember, tomorrow is your day to read this story on your own. There are some questions here listed in day 3. So make sure you go back and you just underline the answers as you find them. So that's a way to use your text evidence so I can see that you knew where to find that answer. Day 4 is the writing day. Like I said, some of you will be writing the pros and cons of forest fires. Some of you are doing more vocabulary work and writing about that. And some of you are reading a book and answering questions about that. We have so many 5th grade groups, they're all a little bit different. And on day 5, the last page in your packet says Virtual Field Trip 3. So for the past 2 weeks, you have been traveling to other places. And today I'd like you to choose a whole new place that you haven't been to yet. And you can choose any from this list that are new to you. And after you have explored the pictures and the videos and read lots of new information, then you can write about where did you choose to go this week, what are some things you learned, what did you like, and draw a picture on the back. When you have completed all of the activities in this week's packet, make sure your parents sign their name every day. So that tells me, yes, they did all the work for day 1. Yes, they did all the work for day 2. Do that every day. That way I know your parents are seeing that you're working hard at home. They can take a picture of this with their names on it and email it to me so I can see you finish your work. And then also take a picture of every page in your packet. This way I can see that you finished your definitions and you are making good sentences with these words. I can see what you're writing, whether it's pros and cons, whether it's the vocabulary page, whether it's the comprehension quiz page. Take a picture, send it to me, and also take a picture of your virtual field trip number 3 so I can see what you learned on this field trip. Alright guys, so that is everything for week 3. If you have any questions about any of it or you need help, just tell your parents to email me. When you're all done, remember they need to email me all of your completed work so that I can check and know if there's any ways that I need to be helping you more. Okay? Alright guys, I hope that you are having a good time learning at home. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person to help you, but please know I will try however I can. Okay? So if you need help, let me know. I also hope that you're having a good time at home, and I know you've had an awful lot of work to do, but I hope that you are able to still get outside and play and enjoy some things, even if we can't be around other people. I think I'm going to go take my dogs for a walk because it's actually sunny and it's not raining right now, and we all need to get out of the house and get some exercise. So I hope you have a chance to enjoy some pretty days as well. If you need anything, let me know. I will see you soon, 5th grade. Bye-bye.